Have you ever paused to ponder one of the most intriguing enigmas of the Bible? How did humanity grow if Adam and Eve, the first humans according to Genesis, only had sons explicitly named in the text? The narrative begins with the creation of Adam and Eve, the progenitors of humankind, expelled from paradisiacal Garden of Eden due to their disobedience. Their story, as detailed in the early chapters of Genesis, introduces us to their three named sons, Cain, Abel, and Seth. Yet, this raises a profound question. Where did Cain's wife originate, and what about Seth's wives? The text hints at the broader family when it mentions that Adam and Eve had other sons and daughters, though not a single daughter is named. This omission sparks curiosity. Were there other humans existing outside of Eden? And if these unnamed daughters indeed existed, why have their stories been seemingly erased from the biblical record? Join us on a journey to unravel this mystery, delving into an untold chapter from humanity's earliest days. When Adam and Eve were cast out of Eden, their lives transformed dramatically. They were no longer in the presence of God's immediate care, losing the innocence and harmony of their initial existence. Forced to venture eastward, they enter the harsh, rugged, unfamiliar terrain. This new life demanded survival skills they had not needed in Eden. Amid this exile, their family began to grow. Genesis 5:4 provides a critical clue. After his father Seth, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. This verse confirms that Adam and Eve's families extended beyond the named sons, suggests a larger progeny that played an essential role in the continuation of humanity. The necessity of daughters becomes evident when considering the perpetuation of the human race. Without women, the growth of population would have been impossible. Yet, the biblical text focuses predominantly on the male lineage, Cain, Abel, and Seth, leaving the daughter's identity shrouded in silence. This selective storytelling prompts us to ask, why does the Bible emphasize the son's narrative while overlook the daughters? To understand this, we must first explore the life of Cain and Abel, the first two brothers born outside Eden, whose contrasting paths set the stage of their endurance mystery. Cain, the firstborn, entered the world as the first human born outside the divine sanctuary of Eden. From his earliest days, he carries the weight of being the pioneer, the one tasked with forging a new path in a world marked by toil and hardship. Soon after, Abel was born, and the two brothers grew up together, shaped by their environment yet diverging in their pursuits. Cain became a farmer, his hand calloused from tilling and soil and wielding the hoe, a man deeply connected to the earth's cycles. Abel, conversely, chose the life of a shepherd, spending his days tending flocks. His spirit seemed at peace as he gazed at the sky and felt the breeze, a tranquility Cain could neither comprehend nor appreciate. Their differences culminate in a pivot moment when both brought offers to God. Cain offered fruits from his harvest, a testament to his labor, while Abel presents a firstborn lamb from his flocks, selecting the richest portion as the best he can give. God looks with favor upon Abel's offering but rejecting Cain's. This rejection struck Cain like a wound, igniting a spark of resentment and pride that drew him toward darkness. God, perceiving a turmoil in Cain's heart, intervened with a warning. Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. This was both a caution and an invitation to repentance, yet Cain's turn away hardens his resolve. The next day, Cain lured Abel to the field under the pretense of companionship. In a sudden act of violence, he seized a stone and struck Abel fatally, his brother's thrusting eyes reflecting shock as his blood soaked into the earth. This moment marked the world's first murder, an act born of hatred and envy rather than natural causes. God's voice thundered in Cain's mind, demanding, "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain's cold response, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" was a lie that denied both his crime and his responsibility. God's judgment followed swiftly. "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the earth. Cursed are you from the ground, which opened his mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand." At that instant, Cain's life changed irrevocably. The aftermath of Abel's death brought a new chapter of Cain. The ground he once farmed became barren, reflecting his cursed state. In his despair, Cain cried out, "Today you drive me from the land, and whoever finds me will kill me." This plea raises a perplexing question. Who could possibly find and threaten him? According to the Genesis account, only Adam, Eve, and their sons were alive at this point. Yet Cain's fear suggests the presence of others, hinting at a deeper mystery. Did Cain know of other people? Or had God revealed to him the future expansion of humanity? Whatever the case, his apprehension was genuine. God, in his mercy, spared Cain's life, placing a mark upon him to deter any would-be avenger. The nature of this mark, whether visible, spiritual, symbolic, or physical, remained undisclosed, but its purpose was clear: to protect Cain. With this mark, he departed from God's presence, journeying eastward to the land of Nod, meaning wandering. There, an astonishing development occurred. Cain took a wife, and she bore him a son, Enoch. He then built a city named after his son, an endeavor that implies a community beyond his immediate family. This raises yet another enigma. How did Cain find a wife if only Adam and Eve and their sons are mentioned prior to this event? Scholars and theologians have proposed three primary hypotheses to address these questions, each offering a different perspective on the early human narrative. Hypothesis 1. Cain married his sister. The most widely accepted theory within biblical traditions posits that Cain married one of his sisters, a daughter of Adam and Eve. These ideas, though unsettling by modern standards due to contemporary prohibition against incest, aligns with the context of the newly created world. With all humanity descending from a single couple, marriage between siblings or close relatives would have been inevitable. At this early stage, no laws forbade such unions, as societal norms and legal codes had not yet been established. Humanity was still in its formative phase, and a long lifespan records in Genesis. Adam lives to 930 years, allowing multiple generations to coexist. Over centuries, dozens of sons and daughters could have been born, providing Cain with a younger sister or niece as a spouse. This practice was not unique to Cain. Biblical patriarchs like Abraham, who married his half-sister Sarah, and Jacob, who married his uncle's daughters Leah and Rachel, follow similar patterns. Without these unions, the lineage leading to Israel would not have emerged, suggesting that Cain's wife was likely a sister, though her name remained unrecorded. Hypothesis 2. Other humans outside Eden. A more controversial theory suggests that God created other humans besides Adam and Eve. This idea stems from the need to explain Cain's fears of being killed and the insistence of a community to populate his city. If only Adam, Eve, and their sons were alive, who constitute these threads or workforce? Proponents argue that the Adam narrative might focus on a chosen couple, while other human groups exist elsewhere, created as part of a broader divine plan. Genesis 1:27. So God created mankind in his own image. Is cited to support this notion of a wider creation, with the Adam and Eve story being a specific account. Under this view, Cain's wife would have been from a separate lineage, and his city might have been built within these other groups. However, this hypothesis clashes with the Christian doctrine of human unity, as articulated by the Apostle Paul. From one man he made all the nations. Quote from Acts 17:26. This unity underpins the gospel, linking all humanity to Adam's fallen nature and the needs of redemption through Christ. A dual lineage theory could imply some humans were free from original sin, undermining the universal scope of salvation, leading most Christian traditions to reject it. Hypothesis 3. The Book of Jubilees. A third possibility emerged from the Book of Jubilees, an ancient text from the 2nd century BC, excluded from the canonical Bible but preserved as a significant apocryphal work, often called the Lesser Genesis. This text expands on Genesis, naming daughters of Adam and Eve and providing a detailed timeline. It explicitly identified Cain's wife was Awan and Seth's wife as Azura, offering a structured family narrative. According to Jubilee, Cain was born in the first year of the third Jubilee, years 130. Abel in the third years of Seth in the first year of the fourth Jubilee, year 190. Awan, born in the 7th years of the third Jubilee, was 6 years younger than Cain, while Azura was born in the 3rd years of the 5th Jubilee, year 197. These days, measures in 49 years Jubilee cycle, suggests a deliberate divine calendar. Awan, whose names may cannot sorrow, sin, or strength, married Cain at age 40 in Nod, bearing Enoch and founding a city. Azura, linked to the blue of lapis lazuli and symbolizing purity, was initially betrothed to Abel, but after his death, given to Seth. Their union produced Enoch, marking humanity's spiritual awakening as people began to call on God's name. The Book of Jubilees thus provides names and context, portraying Awan and Azura as pivotal figures in the divergent paths of Cain's and Seth's lineage. The marriage of Cain and Seth to Awan and Azura, respectively, highlight two contrasting legacies. Cain's line, rooted in exile and marked by Awan's sorrow association, built cities and pursued worldly innovations. Seth's lines, embodied by Azura's purity, fosters a spiritual heritage. From Enoch, Seth's descendants came a lineage including Canaan, Mahalo, Jared, Enoch, who walked with God and was taken to heaven, and Methuselah, culminating in Noah. These righteous lines preserve the memory of Eden and God's commandments, passed down even before the Mosaic law. Conversely, Cain's descendants, such as Unnamed, embrace violence and culture, leading to Nephilim. These giants, born from the union of Seth's sons with Cain's daughters, represented a corruption amplified by the Watchers, angels who taught forbidden knowledge, further degrading humanity. God, grieved by this wickedness, chose Noah, a descendant of Seth, to restore humanity through the flood, preserving the righteous lineage and fulfilling his redemptive plan. While patriarchal names dominate Genesis, the unnamed daughters include Awan and Azura, walk the roots of humanity's tree. Awan walked with Cain in exile, bearing Enoch, while Azura, through Seth, births Enoch and the spiritual renewal. Other women, like Noah's wife Nama, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, shaped nations, yet their stories often remain in the shadows. These women, instruments of God's covenant, these sparks of hope, endurance, and love, embody the divine plan that transcends human understanding. As Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." The Bible invites trust over complete comprehension, revealing God's redemptive intent. So, who do you believe Cain's wife was in this end time? Receive Jesus' salvation and receive the truth. Type "I believe" in the comment, subscribe, and watch my miracle story at the link below to receive his salvation now.